and welcome to my channel. Sorry, I'm just going to move over a wee bit there and try and get in the middle. Welcome to my channel, Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for this partial solar eclipse. New moon in Scorpio. It took place on the 25th of October, so that was yesterday. I've had trouble uploading my other videos, so I'm even later than I was hoping to be with this video, so I do apologise for that. This is the second part of the two-part series that I do for the new and full moon. So this is the tarot part of the energy that I'm dealing with today, the collective read for the collective, for everybody involved. And I shall start off with the cards behind me. So we have the moon first of all and the sun together, which is what always happens at the time of a new moon. It's when the sun and the moon come together. And then the next card in is the Pluto energy, which is all about transformation. It's where this it's the ruler of the sign that this new moon is taking place in. And then we have the 8th house energy, which is the house that is ruled by Pluto, the Scorpio house, the 8th house, which is all about endings and beginnings. And then we have the water element at the end there, because Scorpio is a water sign. And then on this side here we have the south node, which is why we've got the partial eclipse. The eclipses always happen when the south or the north node is next to the moon or the sun and the moon together, should I say. And then we have the Scorpio energy of I transform, which is very similar to the Pluto energy of transformation, and the lunar eclipse energy of revolution. So a new moon partial solar eclipse energy, or eclipse energy in itself, is all about change. It's all about shifting things in a very big way, a massive way. Things tend never to be the same again after after eclipse energy. So things will have shifted and changed, and it also lasts for 6 months as well. So it's not just like one day and it's over and done with. It's like it carries on and it has knock-on effects. So the energy itself will kind of end round about April, but that doesn't mean that the effects of that are not still going to be happening later down the line as well. So I'm going to start the reading with a crystal card, and I pulled one earlier and we got pyrite, and the reason that I pulled it, I am sorry about this. I'm also going to apologize for the lighting. I do not know what is happening here. I have done nothing different, but there seems to be this weird kind of light energy that's kind of happening around this at the time, or around me. And I did pull the curtains earlier because the sun was absolutely glaring through and I couldn't see anything at all, so I pulled the curtains, but the sun's kind of gone behind the clouds now, so I've opened the curtains and it's still affecting this. So I'm not quite sure. You see, it's very, very glary. There's a lot of light in this room and I'm not sure where it's coming from, because it's not more than usual, but it's showing up as more. Anyway, so the pyrite card says, put the spark back in your life, be confident to fulfill your desires. But I want to just read you a bit from this crystal Bible, really, crystal encyclopedia. It is called Love is in the Earth, the Kaleidoscope of Crystals. That's what it looks like for anybody who's interested in getting themselves one of these books in particular. And so I'm just going to read briefly. The mineral possesses a defending quality and is an excellent preventative which will shield one from many forms of negative energy. Simply having a piece of pyrite on one's person brings in the protective shielding aspect of this stone, which works on the physical, etheric and emotional levels. It can help to keep out the negative vibration of pollutants at the physical level due to an energy field which it creates within the aura. It is a unique protector and is an excellent stone to keep in one's possession when performing dangerous work. It helps to keep away all forms of negative vibrations and can work to allay physical danger. The energy of pyrite can inspire the universal energies to activate the nourishing energies of the body, assisting one in the attainment of the ultimate state of physical perfection. It allows one to recognize the purity of the universe and to understand that each portion of the universe maintains an inherent perfection in order to allow the unfolding of impeccability. It also encourages and sustains the flawless idea of health, intellect and emotional well-being. It symbolizes the warmth and lasting presence of the sun and promotes the recall of beautiful memories of love and friendship. It also assists one in seeing behind facades, promoting understanding of that which lies beneath words and actions. It can be used to stimulate the powers of the intellect, enhancing memory and providing for recall of relevant information when required. It can be used in the treatment of both the structure of the bones and the composition and formation of the cells. It has been used to assist the prevention of RNA/DNA damage and can be used in repair of same. It can be used in the treatment of bronchitis and disorders of the lungs. It has been used in the treatment of violent and or highly infective disease, as well as by others who are working with those affected, in order to provide protection from the affectation. It has also been used to lessen fevers and to reduce inflammation, and it vibrates to the number 3. So, pyrite is the energy that we are working with at this time, and it's a stone that is used, I believe, for creating a spark. I think pyrite is a sparking stone as well, but it might be worth getting a piece of pyrite if you haven't got any already. Add to your crystal collections if you've got crystal collections out there. And I will just add as well that I may well be adding some astrology into the actual reading that I'm doing here today as well. And for anybody who's interested in the astrology reading, I have put that out there now. It is up, so you can go and view that if you want to. And also there is a link in the description box down below for anybody who wants to go and find out more about their own natal chart, and take it from there for the astrology. So let's get on with the reading itself, and we're starting with the Ace of Wands, which is in reverse here. And this came through for me as an energy of, I mean, it's very fiery. You can see that. It's very fiery and very passionate and very driven energy. Very Mars kind of energy. When I looked at it, I saw a lot of Mars in that particular energy. But it's reversed. It's inverted. So there's a kind of feeling that it's energy that's going more inward than it is going outward. So this could be to do with self-expression. We have Mars in Gemini, just about to go retrograde as well. So Mars is really slowing right down at this time in Gemini, and he'll be going retrograde on the 30th of October. But there's a feeling here of it all kind of like being, like, because it's very creative energy as well, very creative, driving, passionate. Can also be forceful energy. And when it's in reverse, it can be an energy that's not being used productively. It's kind of more destructive than productive kind of energy. is what I'm getting from this at this time. And then we need to be careful because this could also upset the nervous system as well and put things out of balance. We have, it's very, because Mars energy is also, or Aries energy, which is also very related to this, is very self-orientated as well. So it does feel as though it's kind of very much to do almost like very like focusing on the self, but not focusing on the self in a healthy way, like being too absorbed. Because we have the sun as the blocking energy and the challenging energy here. And the sun is always a good card. I think we had the sun last time as a blocking energy, if I remember rightly. But in this particular card, what I was getting here was, if you look at this sun, it's like all these rays of light are going out the way. So they're kind of like, it's like we're putting that energy out there in a kind of healthy, balanced fashion to help bring the light in, maybe the light of understanding to something. Whereas in this card, it feels much more as though it's kind of very self-centered. And there's a danger element about this card here as well. It feels like a kind of, like a possible explosive energy. An energy that's easily tipped over the edge somehow, that we need to be aware of our possible anger issues or our emotions, which kind of fits in with this new moon partial solar eclipse as well, which is interesting because we also have this sun here, this kind of solar eclipse energy in a way. Yeah, so let's see what else we get from that later. But we also have the two of coins, which is also another challenging energy here as well. So the two of coins is about balance, really, balancing something out. And they've both got like the yin and the yang in there as well. And the snake's got its tail in its mouth. It's making a figure of 8, which is kind of like a perfectly balanced energy. So maybe that's also what he's saying here, is that we need to be more balanced in our approach instead of being more destructive. We need to lessen that fiery, destructive energy and put it out creatively. Like bring it out as a creative process rather than a self-destructive process. And to balance, bring things into balance in order to be able to create that creative process. So in our head, and what we are aware of at this time, we find the 5 of Cups. In this deck it's known as disappointment, and I do believe that if I'm right, yeah, this one here also fell out earlier as well while I was shuffling, and I just found it very interesting that she's sitting there next to this kind of, it looks like a sinkhole. And there's this kind of energy that's coming out of her. It's like it's circling this sink. And it struck me as being very kind of Pluto energy in a way, kind of releasing the negative, what we no longer need to carry on an emotional level. And her foot is also in this bowl here. It's kind of tipping the water into this hole, but at the same time as that water is going down this drainage hole, there's also this energy which is literally coming from her. So it's like her own emotional, because water does represent emotions, and Scorpio is that emotional energy. So yep, that one fell out earlier, but we are dealing with this one as well. So what struck me about this was the fact that there is this like heart shape up the top, which is then coming down and kind of creating this upside down pentagram there. So there's a kind of Venus energy to this as well, because Venus in her dance through the sky makes a pentagram. She also makes a rose as well, which is possibly why she's connected to the idea of romance, or roses are connected to the idea of romance, because she makes this beautiful rose pattern in the sky. But one of her 5 points is the pentagram itself that she creates. And again, there's something kind of like, I mean, it is disappointment. It's in our heads. It's what we're aware of. It's like things aren't coming together for us. Sorrow, sadness, grief. There's a lot of that happening at this time in the world as well. But also like the Venus energy, because Venus herself is behind the sun at this time. She's journeying with the sun, so she has gone into the underworld. So it's almost like losing that light of love, romance, all that is good and pure in the world at this time seems to be kind of hidden. And Venus is also in her detriment when she's in Scorpio, which is where all this is happening, and she's not particularly in the best place for herself. So again, it's like relationships are going through kind of a strange energy. They're being affected by this Venus transit, or this cazimi of Venus across the back of the sun. So like I said, we can't see her until she arrives again later in November as the morning star. But I feel that, you know, it's like we're being affected by it. It's like we're feeling it on an energetic level, that Venus has kind of disappeared out of view. The ancients used to know it as her going into the underworld. When she disappeared, they believed she went into the underworld because she couldn't be seen, so she went into the underworld, and that's when she transformed and became either the evening star or the morning star. So what's moving away and what we have been dealing with is the Chariot and the 9 of Swords, which here is expressed as cruelty. And again, it reminds me, I mean, all the swords at this time, but this one particularly, because there are drips of blood coming off of those swords as well. So something particularly nasty. And I don't think I have to go into too much depth on what I think about this as this medical procedure. And it was interesting as well, I noticed that Pyrite was actually talking about RNA and mRNA being fixed through the use of pyrite. And I think that this is also kind of connecting those energies here as well. The Chariot is about moving forward, and it can be fast movement forward as well. And I feel it was kind of, that's what happened. It was like it was just all very sudden. It was all very forced on us. It was like very, like that forceful energy. Here with this Ace of Wands in reverse as well. It could be very forceful, very domineering energy. So we're kind of like forced into this idea that it was for the best. It was the best thing to do to move forward, to take ourselves into the future. We all had to succumb, so to speak, to that medical procedure, and we're kind of seeing the outcomes of that now as well. And we have the Seven of Cups, which in this deck is known as debauch. And this is in our subconscious realm, so this is not what we're so aware of. This is the hidden energy, if you like. And it's in reverse. It's an inverted card again. So it's kind of saying to me, that those times, those days, those kind of like hedonistic, heady kind of overdoing things, if you like. How can I put it? Like over indulgence is again, it's that feeling of like it's moving away. It's like we've done that, we've been there, we've done that. But this is what we're dealing with in this, we're dealing with these kind of energies in this partial solar eclipse energy, because we're dealing with Pluto, which is all about the darker, hidden, mysterious energies. Pluto rules things like poisons, toxins, and that card kind of reminds me of that energy, as does this card as well, poisons and toxins, and but particularly this one, this kind of sense of things just, I hesitate to say dying off, but that's what I'm kind of getting from this, is this like overindulgence and things kind of dying off, like turning rancid. Like there's something very unpleasant about this card, and it's in the subconscious, so it's like it's still to be dealt with. This is kind of what needs to be brought up into the open, into the awareness, is what I'm seeing here. The Eight of Wands is called Swiftness in this deck, and it does talk about fast moving energy, fast moving, like messages coming in very quickly. And at this time, again, it for me kind of relates to the Mars energy and Mercury energy as well, and they have been connecting over this partial solar eclipse time. So it's like Mars in Gemini is a lot of information, it's a lot of data, it's like firing up the brain, it's like really, and this could also have something to do with this here as well, but it's to an excess, it's like too much. And it can, like, it's like going to extremes as well in many ways, so that possibly could also be why we need to balance ourselves out with all the information and everything that is going to be coming in at us really, really fast, really quickly. And it also came out with the star as well, which is in reverse. So the star often talks to me about hope. It can also be healing. The star can also be healing, but again, it's in reverse. Another inverted energy here. And this could also relate to that Venus energy as well. So it could also be talking about that what we're going to be hearing a lot more at this time as Venus has disappeared behind the sun into the underworld is much more kind of a negative mindset. That the messages that are coming in are not full of hope. They're not going to lift us up. They're going to be quite distressing, possibly. And then we have the Hermit in the collective energies. And the Hermit is also inverted here, but it's kind of making sense in the way that we've all had to kind of live our lives for so long now, that we're all kind of used to being quite insular. And I think that's not just over these past 2 years. I think we have become more and more hermited and much more kind of insular in our own way of being as well. Like over the years, we kind of are less sociable with people than we used to be. There's less community than there used to be. So people are a lot more kind of in their own space, doing their own thing and not kind of putting energy out there. That's also what I'm getting from this as well, that it is all kind of being very self-focused, like turned inward. And that may be okay for a while, but it can become very lonely. It can become very negative in itself, because you've only really got your own thoughts and like fears and worries can grow as well, because there's nothing to balance it out. So you can feed those doubts and those fears and those worries even more so with the negative look on life, if you're not kind of, or if we as a collective aren't there putting energy out into the conscious awareness to help change situations and to kind of light things up, illuminate, bring a light onto something. When you shine a light onto something, you see something a lot more clearly, you get more clarity. And that's what I feel is the message behind, like, the collective at this time needs to be able to do that. And I've actually missed these two cards, which is quite interesting. So I'm going to go back to these, as these are what is approaching us. And we have defeat. So again, more of this kind of negative mind control, mind thought. Swords is always about the mind, and all of these swords are pointing inwards again. So there's this kind of sense of self-defeat, because we're being very, again, this kind of insular. And it's also making another pentagram here as well. And I tend to think of the pentagram, like when the pentagram is upright, it's like everything is, it's like we work with the other four elements, because that's really what the pentagram represents. And it's interesting because we've got the magician, or the magus as it is in this deck, and he has all those elements all around him. So he's got the rod, he's got the pentacle, or the rod over here, the pentacle, He's got the cup for the water, for the emotions, and the air element as well, which I'm kind of seeing as these serpents, these two snakes, which are kind of coming out of either side of him, and that's, it feels like Kundalini energy, like balancing up, balancing out. Once we balance ourselves up in a spiritual way, which is what also I think this snake is representing here. And if you look there, there is this big snake like curled up behind him. I don't know if you can see that. That's this big snake that he's kind of standing in front of. But yeah, so when the pentagram is up the right way, it's like everything is balanced and we are working with the elements. Whereas it feels like when it's in reverse, it's like having, we are, it's unbalanced. It's an unbalanced energy, and it's like we're not working with the elements. We are working, we are, how can I put it? I keep getting the word abusing the elements, the energies. Or we're not even aware enough of what we're doing. It's like taking control or having dominion over them, but in a very kind of, well, in a kind of cruel way. Again, possibly in a very kind of selfish way. Forcing something to work the way we want it to work. But again, because it's inverted, and it's like there's a lot of chaos in that card as well. When I look at this particular card, there is a lot of kind of chaotic energy all around that. So it's kind of saying that that's what happens. It just causes chaos, all that kind of negative channeling of energy into this kind of single point down here. It just causes a lot of chaotic, negative, destructive thinking. But the Magus here is saying that we can rise above that energy, because down here we've got this monkey, which I like to think of as that Mercury mind, the monkey mind, monkey see, monkey do kind of mind. The kind of easily programmed mind in many ways. But then the Magus is the higher consciousness, the higher mind. He knows how to work with the elements. He knows how to balance. He is very much about manifesting something that is much healthier for us than this energy here. But first of all, we do have to deal with the negative. We can't come from this kind of more enlightened energy until we have dealt with our kind of monkey element that's down here. So the more we kind of allow ourselves to be programmed, the more we're going to feel defeated about things, is also the message that I'm getting here. I also got the message about there being two paths. The defeat, the path of defeat, or the path of rising above everything. in the sense of we can either go down that same negative road, or we can learn to, like, abusing each other, the environment, or we can choose to learn how to co-create and realize that we are co-creators, that we already are co-creators, but wherever we focus our mind, we're going to see more of that. So in our hopes and our fears, we have the 8 of coins, again inverted. The 8 of coins is an energy of working on something new. What's it say for the prudence? Is that? Yeah, prudence. That's a very old-fashioned word. So it's about kind of keeping yourself focused on the future, focused on what it is that we are wanting, which is kind of coming in with this energy here as well. But again, as I was saying, it's inverted, so it feels like we're kind of still caught up in believing that there's only a certain way of doing things, and that involves kind of hard work and the status quo staying the same, not changing anything. But that is one of our challenging energies here as well, is change. To allow ourselves to change and shift and not stay stuck. But the final card that we have here is very positive, because this is success. So this is the 6 of coins. So this is about balance, and it is about compromise, and it is about working with others in order to gain results. It kind of feels a bit like realization that in order to, I'm kind of seeing this middle bit here like a table with people sitting all the way around it, and it's like a round table, a bit like the King Arthur legend with the round table, and it's like nobody is any more important than anybody else. It's kind of realizing that we're all part of something much bigger, and we all bring something to the table as well, is what I'm getting. And I'm getting something to do with this as well. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but we all bring something to the table. This could also have something to do with working in smaller groups as well, rather than working in mass, like factories and workforces, and I don't know why that's come through, but it has. So let's get some clarity and some confirmation on these cards. So for the okay, so we have the 2 of Pentacles, which we have here as well. So that's a kind of emphasis on this message of balance, of bringing things into balance, to not go too far one way or the other. Because when we do that, that's when we get defeat, when we go to extremes in our energies. It's kind of like it burns us up, or it burns through our I'm getting nervous system for some reason. I don't know why. But that's kind of what I'm getting. That something, it's affecting all of our nervous systems. Possibly to do with the stress levels. So it is all about the balancing of the situation. And because it's Pentacles, it's also to do with Earth as well. And Earth is the element of stability, security, resources. It gives us everything that we need in order to grow, to be healthy. And in our head and what we're aware of, the star. So we've got another double message here. And so for me, this is saying not to give up on hope, not to give up on that star. And that's also down there as well. I was going to say something about this earlier because it does remind me of the North Node energy as well. The North Node in Taurus at this time, which again is more Earth energy. But that's where we're heading as a collective at this time. That's the energy, the new energy that's coming in. This eclipse that we've had is the South Node energy, as I was saying. So the South Node energy is about what we're needing to release and let go. And this card for me is about that releasing and letting go, because it also came out, oh, I'll leave it for now. But yeah, it came out with the other 5 of Cups, as I showed you earlier. That kind of fell out on the deck while I was shuffling. So, but there's also a realization in this card here of connection. It's like connected to this energy here, this star, benevolent energy, healing energy, quite Jupiter energy. And Jupiter is a very benevolent planet. He's a giving planet. He's very auspicious, very optimistic, full of joy. So this is kind of saying to me that we can overcome, and we will overcome. But first of all, we do need to let go, and in a way kind of remember that we all come from something much bigger. Much bigger. That we're all parts of the cosmic universe. So it feels like a bit like an awakening in a way as well, like a realization. It's like this star is kind of suddenly coming to life. Is how that looks. It's like it's suddenly kind of burst, like a supernova. I actually think there is something about the supernovas happening at this moment as well. I think something about a supernova has been detected that's never been seen before, so that's quite interesting as well. Because of course anything that happens out in the universe also affects us down here on the planet, even though we may not be aware of it, but the waves of it will affect everything else as it moves through. So, but it also feels like a kind of, yeah, like an awareness, an awakening, a realization that we are much more than just this kind of monkey creation, if you like. We're still coming out of this monkey creation. So why is the Chariot and the Nine of Swords here? The Nine of Swords also represents nightmares. It is the the ultimate low, shall we say, really. It's that point of feeling there is no joy, there's no point. It's like giving up. It's very similar to this kind of energy here. It's like when our mental processes are running riot and all they see is more of the same, like being stuck in a dark tunnel. And I think that that's really where we are. I kind of see it also as a dark night of the soul as well. But there's also something here about this Chariot energy, like pushing through that, pushing past it, coming out of the tunnel is also how I'm seeing this as well. There's also an element of kind of like the warrior nature there. And that some people were more warrior-like than others and didn't give in so easily to the fear, because that's another element of this card, is the fear. And the more you fear, the bigger the fear gets, and then you feed that fear until it becomes like all that you can see. Oh, sorry, there was a card that popped out. So what's popped out is the, oh, glare, sorry about that, is the Eight of Cups. As I was saying, this just seems to be, it's still there as well. It's kind of extra lighting in this room today. It's very odd. So the Eight of Cups kind of fits really well in some ways, because the Eight of Cups is about walking away from something that has caused a lot of sorrow, a lot of upset, a lot of sadness. It's realizing that we have to leave something behind. We can't take it with us. And it kind of represents, in some ways for me today, it's representing our past. Like we have to let go of that past. Again, quite Pluto, Scorpio energy. That in order to come into something new, like a new beginning, there has to be an ending. There has to be, we have to have the willpower, if you like, to leave behind what we no longer need, and only take with us what we do need. And what's interesting about this as well is there is only one cup in this card. The sun's rising in the background here as well. Again, you can't see that because the blooming lighting's so weird. But this bowl down here is also what's also on fire. So whatever was in that bowl emotionally, it's like she's set fire to. She's releasing it rather than carrying it, rather than internalizing it. And so a lot of people have had to walk away from things that no longer worked for them. A lot of people have had to walk away from relationships, friendships, work, and move towards a kind of an uncertain future for a lot of people, leaving a lot of their attachments behind, emotional attachments behind, in order to be able to move forward. And that in many ways is what's being asked of us at this time. It has been asked of us. So why is the Seven of Cups another thing about the Seven of Cups as well is it's often spoken of in terms of choice, like having a lot of choice or a choice to make, but there's too much to choose from. So there can be this sense of confusion around that as well, but there can also be that element of I just want all of it. I want it all. I don't know if it's good for me or not, but I just want all of it. And again, that's kind of coming up with this medical procedure for me, this idea of like more and more and more, and people being kind of pushed into that energy. And we've got the Seven of Swords here as well in reverse. Again, another inverted energy. And for me, the Seven of Swords is a warning that's not heeded when it's in reverse, because if you look here, this bird has got his mouth wide open and he's kind of squawking very loudly. And it looks like he's kind of giving some kind of warning. And this person's creeping up and he's got a dagger in his hand, so he obviously means ill will. He obviously doesn't mean any good for anybody. Otherwise he wouldn't be creeping along. And it also looks like he's got feathers sticking out of there as well, like he's just killed one of the crow family. So there is this warning element. But again, as I say, when it's in reverse, it is like a warning that goes unheeded. Like we're still not, a lot of people are not aware of the danger that's involved here and what's actually happening, because they've overindulged, because they've let fear get the best of them. And this is something else that Pluto brings up very, very strongly, is the fear element. And Mars as well. They're both energies that bring up a lot of our worst fears and nightmares. Mars also asks for courage, to be brave in the face of danger or perceived danger. I'm not taking that book. Far too many. Not reading all of those. Not today. So why do we have defeat and the Magus together? What are these two cards trying to tell us? And I would like a bridging card for those two, I think. I would actually like a card that is going to bridge that gap. There is actually a card down here on the floor that I didn't realise had fallen down earlier. And it's the Empress. And I've kind of been told to like put it in between. Okay, so the Empress is really interesting here because for me the Empress represents not just the feminine qualities and the feminine energies. It represents Mother Earth herself, the all-giving, all-loving, nurturing side of Mother Earth, particularly when it's upright. It's like the loving, giving mother who constantly gives of herself, like just plentiful, permanently pregnant with potential, is the Empress energy here. And so for me, it's kind of saying that the energy that is missing is that feminine, like the bridging of the gap is the feminine energy. And it's very interesting because we are kind of seeing a lot of rising up of this energy at this time, with mothers in particular coming out and speaking out about what's happening in the world, particularly around this medical procedure, but also when it comes to this kind of energy, this kind of nasty, like the unbalanced side of things is probably the best way to put it. The unbalanced idea of the masculine and feminine energy. And interestingly enough as well, this card came out the right way up. So the pentagram is actually upside down. If it had come out that way, then it would have been a different story. But this feels like, to me, like the Black Moon Lilith opposing Pluto energy that we are in at this time, that was actually square to this partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. So this is a whole lot of yuck that we are yet to see and yet to kind of deal with. A whole lot of nasty, a whole lot of hidden, sinister, like all the taboos, all that kind of crossing over that line of what is natural, what is created by nature and given by nature, Mother Earth. And so it's a powerful combination. The Empress and the Magus together is a powerful combination. Because when we work with the elements, we are still working with the earth energy in many ways, because all of it comes from the planet. And it's where it manifests. It manifests in physical form on the planet. But there's something about this feminine energy that is, and it's interesting because the Dalai Lama actually said that it would be the women who would save the West. And I feel that that's coming out more and more and more at this time, that more women are rising up. They're standing up for the children, for what's happening with the children. Scorpio energy is very much to do as well with kind of low self-esteem or self-loathing, mutations of the body. It's also the ruler of the sexual organs as well. So you can put those two together and you can understand what's going on there. There's also something here as well that because women bleed and are more in tune with the moon and more in tune with the cycles of nature, and give birth, of course, that like there's a better understanding of things. There's a clearer idea, or because of the connection, because of the fact that women are the channel. We are that channel between the heavens and the earth, basically. We bring in the spiritual beings. like women are going to stand up and start feeling stronger in themselves maybe. But that's interesting because over the top of that card, or these cards here, we've got Temperance as well. So that's 3 major arcanas all together, and Temperance is all about balance. It is the card of balance, it's the card of patience, it's the card of the divine timing, really. All in divine timing, it's all coming together as it should do. And when the time is right, it will all fall into place. But this Temperance is interesting as well because, again, I'm sorry about this glare. That's so bad. If you can see maybe a bit better by me holding it. That's a bit better. There's still such a weird light in here today. He has angels. This particular Temperance is masculine and he has wings. And I also want to say as well about this before I move on that personally I believe that we all have many lifetimes. I believe in reincarnation, and I think that we have different bodies. We don't always come back as a masculine energy, we don't always come back as a feminine energy. We may stay in that kind of energy for many lifetimes and learn as much as we can, and then maybe we think, right, okay, now it's time to become that more masculine energy as well, in order to balance out the 2 energies, in order for us to learn what it's like to be in both of those different energies, the masculine energy and the feminine energy, through many lifetimes. But we're kind of stuck in this conditioned mindset that we only ever live one life. That's all there is. Like, we live, we work, we do whatever, and then we die, and that's the end. That is what so many people have been brought up to believe, or so many people have become atheist, in the sense that because they don't believe in God, they don't believe in anything. But that is the balance of the universe. The universe is all about balance. It's forever wanting to balance everything out. And so to learn from being, the only way we can really do it is to be in that body in that particular lifetime, not to try and force ourselves into a certain body that doesn't fit the rest of our DNA. Temperance can also be about messages coming in as well from a higher realm, receiving messages. I've just noticed as well that he actually has 2, again, like if you look here, he's got like the sun and the moon, that masculine and feminine energy, and I didn't even see that while I was actually talking about that just then. Again, lighting, really sorry about that. It's not doing me any favors. So we have the masculine, the sun energy, and we have the feminine, the moon energy, and he's kind of holding both, balancing both. And this, I think, as well, is one of the major issues for this particular time in our lives as well. Particularly as Pluto, as I was saying earlier, rules the sexual organs, the genital area, and is very prominent in the sky at this time and in our lives at this time, particularly with this lunar, sorry, not lunar, this solar eclipse, this partial solar eclipse that we've just had, which is going to be lasting for 6 months, as I said earlier. So this is going to, all of that kind of Plutonian transformational energy. That's far too many cards. I do not want to take all of them. Oh, far too many. I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm still not going to talk that much. Oh, another one on the floor. Sorry about this. Oh, 7 of Wands again. Oh, 7 of Wands and 8 of Wands we've got out, but I'm not taking any of them. So, a bridging energy for the 8 of Wands and the Star. There we go. What have we got? We've got the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So I was talking about these earlier being kind of messages coming in thick and fast. A feeling of being overwhelmed by things as well. More information, too much data, too much. And also with the Star in reverse as well, there could also be a sense of kind of what's true and what's not true. Also a sense of where am I going, in this direction or that direction, or feeling totally disconnected to everything, or disconnecting from everything, because we've also got the Hermit here as well, that kind of insular energy of kind of just shutting down. It kind of feels like shutting down, closing down. So with the Page of Pentacles here as well, the Page of Pentacles is a young energy. All the pages are young energy. So they're an energy that needs to grow and mature. But they need to experience life in order for that to happen. And this is Pentacles. So this, again, it's about earth energy. It's about growth. But it's in reverse. So there's a sense here of being, again, that sense of kind of being out of touch with things, of not feeling balanced, because he's kind of standing on one leg there. Or she's standing on one leg, should I say. It is a woman. And it can also represent, like, because it needs to experience things, it's also about the future energy as well, like planting seeds in the present for what is to come later down the road. So about kind of planning the future in the now energy, but it is in reverse. So it could feel as though with all the negative energies that are around at this time, that there's this sense of almost like it's a pointless endeavor, especially with this card in reverse here, the Star card. Like it's like giving up somehow. Sense of, yeah, giving up, not wanting to partake. Possibly also not wanting to grow up. just this sense of hopelessness. And because it's a page as well, this could also relate to youth, to children. Just this sense of what is the point. But we have the Magician again over the top of the Hermit energy here. So this is powerful manifesting energy as well. It feels like with the Hermit energies, as I was saying earlier, about it being all very insular and very kind of like we don't really communicate as much, we don't really socialize as much, we don't share with our neighbors like we used to in the past. So we kind of come home, we close the door, we either put the TV on or we do what we normally do, and we don't really communicate. We don't really yeah, it's that kind of sense of closing down kind of thing is what I'm feeling. This sense of kind of closing ourselves off. Which could also have something to do with the fact that we don't want to share our understandings or our knowledge, because we could also feel that we're going to be made to feel stupid or crazy even. But the Hermit is wise. The Hermit has wisdom. The Hermit has learnt lessons. He's been on a journey of self-discovery. But when it's inverted, it feels like the Hermit is kind of keeping stum. He's kind of keeping what he knows. To himself. But then we have the Magician over the top of this. Again, this Magician, this Magus that we have here as well. So this is the same card out twice. So again, this is quite powerful energy. And I get the sense of this kind of awakening. Again, this kind of awakening. It's like and the Magician is sending down these kind of like thought waves, if you like. It's like coming out of his hand. It's like this energetic hand, or energetic energy, sorry, coming via his hands. It's coming out of both hands there as well. I don't know if you can see that. And it's like he's sending it down, because there's this galaxy below here as well. So it's like he's sending it out into the universe. So this is like the cosmic consciousness, if you like, the universal mind. And again, there's that sense of kind of wakening up what may have been lost, like old wisdom that has been lost, that is kind of being reawoken. And maybe it's also saying that there's a lot of people out there who do have that wisdom and they do have knowledge and understanding, but they are also like they keep themselves to themselves purely because of what other people may think or say or do. But this Magician card is kind of saying to me that there's this new energy that's pouring in. That's coming from a higher conscious awareness. That is going to override this Hermit energy. And one of the reasons that I'm saying that as well is because I've noticed that on this card there isn't a sperm. And of course sperm is about life, it's about like fertility, it's about bringing the new creation in. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. If you put it like that, like so, it's like bringing something into the collective conscious awareness that has been hidden. The knowledge, the understanding, the old. But it's also mixed in with the new as well. So even the old is like having an upgrade. It's like it's all going to be upgraded somehow. As we move forward. Because that is the place of the collective in itself. So it's like seeding as well, possibly seeding new ideas. And over the top of our 8 of coins, we have the 3 of swords in reverse. Again, inverted energy. And this feels like, because this is in our hopes and our fears, and it kind of feels like after years of kind of doing the right thing, stability, working for stability, for security, for success in many ways, to be recognized for what we do, for our talents and our skills. It's like it all seems to be, again, that sense of kind of pointlessness. The 3 of Swords is never a nice card. It's always a card of pain, hardship. But there's also an awareness in the 3 of Swords as well, although I don't feel so much when it's in reverse that we're quite in that space of awareness for what it means. It's more like being in the pain of it at this time. Very Pluto, actually, very Scorpio energy, just kind of like, it's so painful. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to go through this? It hurts. But it is, in that sense, just a hope and a fear. It's not manifested as such. And so the hope in that sense could also be that there's better days coming, and that the pain itself will all have been worthwhile. And that's what I was going to say about the cathartic side of that energy as well. There is a catharsism with the Three of Swords, because it kind of bursts the illusion of something that appeared to be one way but in fact is something a lot different. It can be to do with betrayal, often is. In relationships, it can be to do with finding out that somebody's been cheating, that there's more than two people in the relationship, should I say. But there is this deep kind of, along with that comes this kind of understanding that how you believed something to be, it actually wasn't. So it's best that you kind of let it go, and I think that's really what we're moving into at this time as well. And then over the top of the Success card, we have the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is really kind of known as the spiritual warrior energy, because it's kind of going through all those battles and still standing strong. And that's what I mean about kind of what do you bring to the table as well. That's kind of fitted in really well with this. It's like, what do you bring to the table that is unique and individual to you, because you've been through hard times. You've suffered emotionally. You've had heartbreak and heartache. And you're still there standing strong. And that in itself is a success. And I don't know if I want to say any more about that, actually. I feel as though I've kind of, that's all I want to say about that card. So let's pull some final messages, see what the universe is wanting to say to us at this time as a guidance. Lighting's beginning to change out there, and it still looks the same. It's still weirdly fuzzy on my video. Very bizarre. Okay, what have we got? What have we got? What have we got? 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. 4. Yep, that's a very balanced number. Okay, so first of all, we have planets and stars do not stay the same. Planets change and move. Energy shift. You are living in extraordinary times. When you find true love, this is but a reflection of the love and fulfillment that you will find when you eventually return to the source. Leave all your difficulties and confusions behind you now and concentrate on your inner core of perfected light. And the last one is, it is imperative you have a stillness within. You cannot go forward without this. And this is kind of this energy here as well. If you can see her stance and her kind of strength there. She's kind of found that stillness because of the hardships. Not despite, but because of what she's been through. It's made her a stronger individual. And so lastly, let's pull one of the messages of life cards here. And these were all the cards that were chosen by my dowsing wand again today. Message for the collective. What is the message for the collective? Messages of life. What do you want to tell us at this time? No, that's too many. We can't have all of them. What do you want to tell us at this time? Messages of life. So while I'm shuffling, I would just like to say thank you very much for coming over and watching my video. Please could you thumbs it up, give it a like, because that just helps me, or helps the platform should I say, and therefore helps me to kind of show that there's some interest in my videos as well, because that's what the platform algorithms are looking for. Also comment and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and a big thank you to those of you who have already subscribed and like my videos, and also those of you who share them. I do appreciate it, and just help to get my message out there in these times of difficult energies that we're working with. And again, it looks as though we're not going to get a last message here. It's not the first time. No message from the message of life cards. Oh, definitely the ones that they wanted me to use. Okay, let's just open it and see what happens. Okay, so we have step by step. Today I practice patience. I allow time to fulfill my goals. I understand the wisdom in letting go of control. I know that the true value of each situation lies in its creation rather than in its end result. Therefore, I allow my life to unfold step by step, inhabiting each moment to the fullest, knowing that my soul is forever rising higher and higher to embrace the light. It's just started raining. And then at the bottom of the deck, we have together in the light. I just feel as though I should read this as well. So I give thanks for all who enter my life. I understand we are all exactly who and where we are supposed to be, and everyone contributes to each other's personal growth. Every reaction someone draws from me is a gift from their soul to mine, meant to help free me from my inner conflicts. Today, my focusing on my own development rather than on others' faults, I become one with the divine. If you can see that, again, very glary. So I do apologise about this lighting today. I haven't really done anything any different, and I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it's got a kind of fuzziness about it. So I'm going to leave it there and say again, thank you very much. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, please thumbs it up for me, and also hopefully I will see you again next time. As I was saying that, oh, before I do forget, there is just one more thing that I do want to mention, which I almost forgot, and it's more for those people in the UK than it is for other people, though it may be of some interest. But the new moon partial solar eclipse that took place yesterday was at the time that Rishi Sunak, the new PM in the UK, was meeting with our new king in order to be kind of given the job as the new Prime Minister. So that was taking place at about 10:30 when they met, and it was more or less during this solar partial eclipse, but I think it started at about 3:10 in the morning, and he met at 10:30, as I was saying. So the whole thing lasted until 11:49, but it was during that stage of the partial solar eclipse that he actually took over the reins of running the country. And that in itself, with the South Node energy, the energy of letting go, releasing, and purging everything that we no longer need, is probably not a particularly good time to take over a country, particularly with Venus conjunct in the underworld behind the sun at the same time. As I was saying, it kind of seems as though all the kind of light is going out of the world, and the darkness is kind of taking over. But so personally, I don't think that he's going to last that long as the Prime Minister either, but partly because of that, but also partly because we have this huge shift of energy coming up in the next lunar eclipse, which is taking place on the 8th of November, which is very, very, very significant for those of you in the US, as well, as you will be aware. And I do believe that we're going to see something huge happen over there that is going to affect the rest of the world at the same time. So I'm going to say thank you very much. Wish you all the best, and I will see you at the lunar eclipse in 2 weeks. Until then, take care. Bye bye.